Very important future vision compatibility, because no matter how much chemistry you have, no matter how much emotional compatibility you have, or lifestyle compatibility, if your vision and goals do not align, or if you don't see things, like if it doesn't align, or it would be a struggle.
Absolutely.
Hello, everyone. Welcome again to Decoding Dating. My name is Evelyn, and I'm a matchmaker and a founder of Love and Connection Inc. It's a matchmaking and event business, and I'm so excited to be here. And I'm here with.
Adam, I'm a licensed coach with the International Coaching Federation with over a decade of experience in mental illness and addictions. What are we talking about, Evelyn?
Actually, it's a very interesting topic, and I can't really wait for us to actually dissect this topic. So it's on chemistry and compatibility. So, have you ever been on a date where chemistry was fire? Like you kind of, vibe with this person, but deep down, you knew it wouldn't last. And that is the tension between chemistry and compatibility. And that's what we're actually talking about today. So I'm just going to throw this question to you, Adam. Now, how would you describe chemistry and compatibility? So what is the difference between those two? Like, how can you actually describe that?
So, when I look at, for example, compatibility first and foremost, I look at core values. Do my
Mm,
core values align up? That's the big question because compatibility I see as more of a long-term issue that has to be there. But I also see things like sex drive. If I have a very high sex drive and she has a very low sex drive, we might not be compatible, which
yeah.
could be a problem. There's many other things, for example, diet. If for I'm a raw vegan and my partner is not a raw vegan and like she's not interested in becoming a raw vegan, we just might not be compatible. And so there's also that worldview aspect of it. Do we see the world kind of similarly enough that we could make this work? But when I think about chemistry, I think of it as more of like that flirty funness. When you're talking to somebody like, oh, I just want to spend more time with you. It's like those butterflies in your stomach, that electric spark of, I kind of want to take your pants off. However, when I think about chemistry is good, but you can't just have chemistry for a long-term relationship. And you
Mm,
can't just have compatibility for a long-term relationship. You have to have a little bit of both.
yeah.
What do you think?
I do like the way you kind of described it, right? Like kind of broke down. I do agree. Compatibility is more about core values. Those things are very core important to you, and seeing how you align with it. It talked about or the way you actually see the word. Like, do you have a similar view of the word? Is it similar? Because that actually helps. For example, you mentioned vegan. You're vegan, and the thing is, you don't guys don't have to have the same diet. But is a person open enough to understand why you're vegan, and can they work with you to provide like support? Like, let's say if she's not vegan, then she has to make sure that, oh, I can prepare. I'm familiar with vegan, the kind of type of food that you would like, and she can actually cater for that, as well as you also being open minded that she's not vegan, but maybe you never know how you influence each other later on, right? But it's just that openness and understanding. And also the chemistry is also very important, because that's like the first thing that you see, like the first attraction, like that you see a nice, tall, or whatever good looking guy or good looking woman, and she's like, oh my gosh, you're so attracted to the person, and that's you have these butterflies, and those things are beautiful. The spark, those are attractions are very important. But like you said, that would not sustain a relationship long term. And so it's nice to have both, the balance of both, not like too much chemistry and then compatibility isn't there. It can't really work. So like looking at that, do you think you can actually be compatible with someone, but then there's no spark? Do you think that can work?
Yeah, I've met those people. So I remember going on a date and she was an absolutely lovely woman. And our worldviews were lining up, our thoughts were lining up, we had many core values, but there was no sexual tension. There's
Mm,
no I want to get to know you more is like I can see you as a really good friend, but we're not really having playful banter. We're not joking around. We're not flirting with each other. It's just more of a critical analysis of each other's lives, which is
mm,
fair. I thought to myself, we would make really good friends.
mm.
However, when it comes to a romantic connection, the chemistry is just not there. You're not fun and flirty to be with. You don't make me want to go, God, I just want to rip your clothes off.
Yeah, yeah, and I think what I always hear sometimes they will tell you, um, for a woman, for example, say you will grow to love this person. Like there are situations where, and there are some cultures where, they just arrange marriage. You even like in I think in India or like in Africa, for example, a guy could just go to the city or village and see a beautiful girl and you hear the statement, you grow to love him, even if she doesn't feel that attraction at that point in time. But what I've realized is, I don't know if for some people it worked, but I'll tell you, most of the ladies I speak with, majority of them never grows. The attraction never grows, and it becomes like a chores. Like even to make love is a chores. It's just not there, and it's really sad because majority of these people are not happy. And that's why if and I like the fact that you said something about the balance. You want to also be attracted to that person, because if not, then it's more like friendship, right? Like we have good friendship where you guys talk all day, but you don't want to even hold them, or you don't want to those flirty sexual or fun stuff with them, but you don't just see them that way. So I think yeah, so I like how you just put it together, but I think that's how I look at it.
Well, and to even add on to that, I think many times you can start off with compatibility and you can grow into chemistry. Like I've seen this a lot where it'll be two friends and they've been friends for a long time and they're
Mm,
quite compatible. And over the course of maybe months, if not years, there starts to be a little bit of like flirtiness happening. And the chemistry starts, for whatever reason, starts mixing around in there and it becomes a working relationship.
mm.
Um, what I usually find interesting though is even if you have the chemistry, if you don't have the compatibility, you can't really grow that compatibility,
Trust. Yeah.
which
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen people that what I know is that with friendship, for example, now if you start off as friends, there you may not admit it, but somehow the person is like could be your ideal type of person that you would want to date. Like there's some type of like maybe you guys might even joke around. It's like a fine guy, fine, beautiful. Like you are attracted to each other. You find each other attractive. That's there. But you guys are just friends, right? But now as you guys get to go deeper, have fun, and probably flirt to that always comes in, then start developing. But the attraction is always there, because I've seen people that we've been friends for long, and then maybe they would come and say, "Oh, I like you" and everything, but if the attraction wasn't there from the get go, trust me, it doesn't work. It cannot work. So I think initially, there's this type of attraction that is there, like you guys kind of. The guy would see you as this girl I love. She's like my ideal girl, like, and these girls will feel similar, you know but you just know your friends, and then until each one person might say, okay, you know what, I like you, I've liked you for long, and it just gels. But I feel like I don't know for a woman's side, and I'm talking for myself. I think for me, if I do not have that initial attraction, um and there's just some kind of attraction. It doesn't have to be butterflies or anything. Just like, oh, I don't mind. You could look at someone and say, it's not gonna be a bad boyfriend, right? But and then that helps to say, okay, let me now I can now start, looking at it in like more like romantic way. But for me, the attraction has to be there for as well. And like, I want to speak up to this every day. um Also, then the compatibility also is there, but the attraction is there, compatibility is not there. Like we don't really have it. It dies for me. Like it could just die down for me, and it's different for different people, right? But yeah.
Well, exactly. The attraction has to be there on some level.
Yeah.
And this reminds me, so amusing story. I once had a woman ask me, and she was bi, and she said, Adam, if you had the choice to have sex with a woman that's out of shape, she's very ugly, not good looking, or an absolutely beautiful man, who would you go with? And I said, I'll go with the woman. And she goes, but the man's gorgeous. He's beautiful. Like, okay, I understand that, but I'm not interested. And she's like, well, why not? Like, if I would go with the man. I said, there's no attraction. The
Yeah.
parts don't work that way. I'm
Mm,
sorry. Like, I
that's
can appreciate that other people would like the man, but if I had to, this, this is just how the body works. And if there's no attraction, there's no attraction.
mhm. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think that's the thing. I've seen a lot of guys that would a girl could be amazingly like good and she's all that, even compatible, but they don't have that attraction and they don't want to just I had a guy used to do this TikTok live, and he said he met this lady. She's beautiful, she's everything, like, but it doesn't just find her attractive, and it doesn't want to touch her, doesn't want to hold her. She had to push herself on him, and even after they hacked, it just did not. So she got pregnant, they got married, but it never increased. Like it never felt the attraction for that lady. And that's the thing about it. Like sometimes you have to have that initial attraction first. I feel like that is important. And then everything can now align. So if you have that attraction, but the compatibility aspect is there, amazing. If it's not there, then you may just have something short and move on because not every relationship is meant to, last. Some of them would know that there's no compatibility, but you just want to have fun. Right. So but if you're looking at like long-term thing, both of them has to be. But I think more compatibility is very important. And chemistry, if you at least there's some attraction and chemistry can always grow. It can grow much more. But yeah, so that's the way I kind of look at it. What about what you think emotional compatibility, like in terms of how you guys communicate or how you guys resolve conflict? How important do you think that is when it comes to compatibility?
When it comes to emotional um, compatibility, it's incredibly important. However, I would argue that it is a area that can grow because it's a part of emotional intelligence. Can become more emotionally intelligent. People can expand their capacity to deal with others' emotions. What I see a lot of, however, is individuals don't do the legwork to have a higher emotional intelligence to be able to communicate with their partner in a respectful way, but more importantly, in a way that they hear it. And so the problem becomes is one partner either has to have a very high emotional intelligence to hold the emotions of the other partner, or it kind of falls apart.
Mm,
Hopefully, both partners have done their job to just be able to understand each other's and their world points of views and their emotions and where they are coming from, and it can help each other work through it. But I find that's a very rare thing in today's society.
mm. Yeah, I believe like for example, talked about communication. I think communication is very important, and with the way someone communicates can be influenced by their upbringing or maybe their past experiences. And for someone that just came out of maybe like a toxic relationship where there's always that screaming and shouting and everything like that, to someone that is more of a gentle and more, has more emotional intelligence, it might have to take some patience and some time for them to actually adjust to like the norm, like the normal way of communicating. And it has to be something that is intentional. Like there's nobody that is a perfect communicator from the get-go, but it's something like you said, it grows. It's something that you now have to relearn and learn, be open minded enough to learn and then to understand your partner in terms of how they would want you to communicate with them and how you want to be communicated to as well. But But I feel like it's very important eventually when you get to that point where you understand each other enough to say, okay, if I want to get something from my man, I know how to talk to him to get that. Because it's the more you know the person, like there's situations where a lady would, she'll make nice, delicious meal for the husband because she wants to ask him to so he wants to ask him for a favor. Then the man would know, she's trying to do something here, right? And so it's that you know what your man likes, you know what your woman likes, and then you tend to just do and communication is different. Like that's action, right? That's more like doing things that makes them happy, but you're kind of communicating your needs that way, the way like, okay, it could know that she wants something even without you having to open your mouth to say anything. But also your expression as well, in terms of your attitude, those things also are communication. I always a sign of a will to communicate to. So those things all have to kind of align, but it depends on your partner. I've seen couples that are very playful and loud, and that's just the way they communicate. Those if that kind of couple meets with someone that is more of a quiet type of they may not gel. So it just depends on your partner and basically what works for you guys. But I would say, like you said, it grows and it's a learning process. Yeah, so
Well, exactly. It is a learning process. You have to study your partner. And what I found is in long-term relationships, you really get to know your partner in depth. You get to know what their likes, their dislikes, how they communicate. And for example, I worked with one woman who said, "My man is very focused. He focuses on one thing at a time. So when I give him a list, I know I need to put the most important thing at the top and the least important thing at the bottom because he's going to do the first thing on the list and he's going to
mhm,
focus on that. And then he'll
mhm,
do the second and focus." But that didn't come overnight. She had to work very hard to understand how her partner saw the world.
mhm.
That's that's challenging.
That's I think that's also interesting. Like it gets to a point where you also need to accept your partner. So I've had a person like they talk a lot. So now this is I had to you could think, oh, I don't like someone that talks a lot, but I had to understand, okay, they talk when they're excited about a particular topic. And I'm not gonna shut you up. Like I want you to be free and talk. So you just have to accept sometimes that your partner is this way. I know a couple where the guy talks a lot, and the wife is very quiet. So when they go out to like friends' place, the girl she's just quiet. She just lets him shine and talks. And they would always say, "My wife is she's tired of me already. She knows that I talk." And I like the fact that she lets him talk. She had to learn and understand the partner that she has. It's not like you're not trying to make them small, but you want them to shine. You just have to accept it and and work with it. So like you said, so sometimes you just have to work with what you have, understand them, and you know, and work around it. There's always a way around everything. But eventually there should be a balance. Like so, one should be up, and there should be a good balance
Well,
to
I
help.
like that. I like you talk about acceptance because
Yeah.
it's critical. And so I know, for example, in my line of work in the past, I've had to deal with very emotionally turbulent things with my patients. They're very just emotionally disturbing. And I've come to the understanding that many people that I talk to do not have the emotional capacity to hold on to what I am dealing with. And I have to accept that. I don't force them away. I accept it for what it is. And I just have to figure out other ways to let out my emotions in a healthier way. And I just accept that, hey, I just can't tell these people these stories. Just simple as that. Just
Yeah.
accept it.
Yeah, I just accept it. I think acceptance is very good. So we talked about emotional compatibility. Let's look at lifestyle. How important is lifestyle compatibility in terms of your habits, routine, social preferences? How do you think that's like an is how important is that to you think in a long-term relationship kind of thing?
Well, the big question I always ask is, how much are you willing to compromise?
Mm,
And what is okay and what isn't okay? What I see is sometimes people have a very regimented lifestyle and then they start getting angry at their partner because their partner lives a different lifestyle and it's not as regimented. And it's that question of, okay, we need to help you become more flexible in your lifestyle because it sounds like you don't want a human, You want another version of you that's just the opposite sex. And so there's a component of lifestyle that's like, absolutely, you need to have that compatibility. If they want to travel all the time, you have to be okay with traveling all the time. If you're not traveling and they're traveling, they may grow to be resentful and lonely because they're like, I'm missing a part. Somebody might be like, you know what? I don't like the partying lifestyle. I like laying down and having a quiet nap all the time. And the other person could be like, well, partying's for me and I have to do this. So then the question becomes like, can you guys compromise on this? Do they even want to go out to party with you? So there is a portion of it of it's incredibly important. However, can you work through it? Is it something that you're able to work with the other party on and come to an agreement of, okay, we'll party once a month together, and then I can party by myself every 2 weeks. Done. And is that comfortable for both parties?
Mm. Yeah, I think, yeah, you mentioned like with lifestyle compatibility is very important, but it comes with compromise as well, and how open-minded you are. Like, I think this is something I always ask my clients. Like, I think it's very important because if someone that you're very fitness focused, you need someone that actually understands the importance of being fit and being healthy. If you Because that would actually help you to be better. If you have someone that doesn't really care about their health, they eat all junk and everything, that would also affect you because then you're always seeing junk. The fridge is always filled with anything, takeouts and everything. It can be very difficult for you to be focused on that your fitness go. So those things are also very important. And also, you could also meet someone that is not really very, she hasn't been too, she's not very health conscious from the get go, maybe based on her family background or environment. But you could come into her life and you could actually help her to be more fit or more to think towards a direction. But it has to be someone that is open-minded. Like I said, you have to be open-minded. um Lifestyle traveling, there are people that are party goers, like they go to party and they drink a lot, but as time goes by they slow down. Not naturally, as they get mature they slow down. So it's not, you can't just say, oh, you like to party, I don't like to party. Sometimes it takes sometimes patience, because maybe you were also a party person before until you changed. Sometimes it takes some patience and understanding. It's okay. Some people would adjust. They adjust naturally as they grow, as they mature. But the introvert, extrovert type of thing, ambivert, is like, it's, I feel like that is important. I do ask that question. I do ask my client that question. If you're an introverted person, you need the balance that would work. But someone that likes to go out a lot and you don't like to go out a lot, that could lead to a bit some kind of conflict later on, because you start resenting each other. You feel like your partner is boring and stuff. So those some of the things are very important. That is very important. But lifestyle, sports, routine, those are things that you can adjust to. Those are things that you can compromise on. They're important too, but there's always a way around those things.
There is a way around them, and I love what you say is you have to think about it. Because many times when I look at my lifestyle, there's a lot that I do that I don't expect my partner to do. But then there are some things that I'm like, no, I would like my partner to be able to contribute in this part of my life. For example, I've worked with clients that are like, I am very fitness orientated. I love going out for hikes. I would like a partner that could join me for those hikes. And that's where you have to kind of sit down and think about before you start getting into relationships. Okay, what what am I really okay with just letting go if my partner is just not interested in that portion of the lifestyle, and what is incredibly important to me, and then communicating that with your partner. For example, introverts and extroverts, they get into relationships all the time. I've seen it happen all the time. And many introverts say, I will go out with you and we'll have fun, but I can only go for an hour to 2 hours. So after that, let's go home after that. And so there's that compromise. And the extrovert's like, sure, I'm happy with that because at the end of the day, I got my extroversion fill. We partied, we had fun, and now we're going to do some quiet time with you. And then maybe there could be a compromise down the line of like, um, sure, we'll go home, but then I'm going to go out and do my own thing later on this week. And it's just, again, making it work.
Hmm. Yeah, I think there's always a way around everything. Like you said about the introvert thing, where and sometimes be okay with the person going out. You could go out with a partner. I like the fact that it's okay. It's time to go. Let's go. And sometimes it could be you could see your partner actually having fun. I could say, "Babe, I just want to go home. I'm tired. You can come home later." Like that's a form of understanding that okay, that and that comes with trust to that. Okay, I trust my partner. I'm sure they're going to be fine. They're going to respect me, so you can. And sometimes you have to be okay with saying, babe, you can go. I don't want to. I don't feel good today. I don't feel like going out today. And you as a partner needs to be okay with saying, okay, don't worry, baby, just relax. And that's love to me because I feel like it's very impossible to find someone exactly like you, but you can always teach each other and you guys can always learn from each other. And you guys should always understand that you guys are two different people and you should also have a life without a person too. Very important. So you guys don't have to do everything. So you guys have your life and let her have a life, but then you guys can come together and balance it up. Um, yeah.
Well, it's like I remember being at a farmer's market, and I love vendors. I love vendors so much. And I remember going from stall to stall to stall to stall to stall. And the person I was with at the time, they said, "Hey, I'm going to go over to this coffee shop and have a coffee while you go shopping for a little bit. Come find me when you're ready." Like, done.
Exactly. That's good. But at least she's not limiting you from enjoying the things that you love, right? So, and that's good. And that's love. It's like your partner still can enjoy themselves, even if you're not okay or used to it. So, give them that freedom to do that. Yeah. So, that's really cool. And I think one thing that is very important for even for when I talk to my client is vision. Like, the way you see the world together in terms of finance, in terms of future goals, in terms of family. So looking for like I know you've had different experiences. So how important is the vision compatibility, when it comes to like relationship or long-term relationship?
Well, short term, not very important. Long term, incredibly important. And even when, for example, we look at relationships that were settling and solving immediate needs, they end up growing a vision or dream together. And they
Yeah.
all are rowing, they're both rowing in the same direction. And so when we look at long term success, you have to have a common goal. You have to have a common vision that you are moving towards. Without it, you're kind of adrift in the ocean. What are you kind of seeing out in the world? Oh my gosh.
Okay. Sorry. I think it's very, very important, especially when it comes to long-term relationship, because what is going to be there's nothing long-term without vision, right? And I feel like vision, but I've seen people that before they got married, they had a vision for a man. The man had a vision of where he saw his family going. And he was actually preparing for that now. And when he met the woman, he was still very fixed on that particular vision, just like that. And when she tries to bring, this is a good idea, but look at it, he's just not open minded to bringing her into that vision. And it didn't work out for him that way. So I feel like it's as much as it's amazing to have vision, I think it's also very important to understand that you're bringing someone into your world and you need to merge together the vision. Like if I have a vision, like I want to own like maybe a big business and I need to have a man that is also business oriented, but I have a business I'm already doing. It comes in and with a wonderful business idea. We could still work together to make that vision work, but also understand I also have a business of mine and we can still work together to support that too. So it's like the vision is good to understand that, it has to merge. It has to merge. Don't be too, like I don't like it. I've seen a lot of people very fixed on one, like so fixed with the way they see things, and sometimes you could be limiting yourself from a lot of opportunities if you're not open-minded. So yeah.
I agree with you so much. I cannot
Yeah.
tell you how many times I see people and they just have this fixed dream. And they have everything planned out from A to Z. And then they meet a person and it's like, okay, but that person also has a dream. how are you going to integrate their dream into yours? And their opinion is they don't. They have to integrate into my dream. So it's one of those moments of, wait a minute, I don't think this relationship's going to work at all. Which kind of brings the question of how do you even talk about your dreams and your future? Because what I see is a lot of people kind of rush into this conversation either haphazardly or too early. How would you recommend that individuals kind of approach this topic?
Yeah, I think it's important to talk about it at the beginning. I understand that sometimes you could see a guy that you like and you just really want this guy and you could just say yes, yes to everything. I feel like it's very important to talk about it at the beginning, if, especially if you're looking at, like, if you're courting, right? And because that would actually tell you if you want to go forward or not. But also, the person, like, if you tell a woman, this is what I see, as I see the world, there should be some kind of alignment. She should be like, maybe you one day see yourself owning a business and stuff. She should also be a business minded person at some point. Or even if she's not a business minded person, she should be able to be, she should be open minded. She should appreciate that, the business world. I don't know how to say, like, it's, she should be interested in that world, and she should be willing to support you if she doesn't even, if she's not, if she's a career person. Some people are career people, and but she should be willing to say, okay, I'm going to support you. I like the idea of your business. I will support you regardless. So sometimes it doesn't have to, you don't have to think exactly alike, but at the beginning it's like, maybe some people say, I would like to go to travel back to, maybe go to Australia and retire there and everything. She should be a bit open minded to that point. It might not be Australia. She could say, oh, babe, Australia, really? What about if we go to Greece, Greece? And you say, oh, maybe let's visit Greece. The goal is, you are still planning to go retire in a place that maybe gives you the opportunity to relax. So what is the goal? What is the goal of this? The goal is, maybe it's business. I would like us to be financially, to build wealth, and in such a way that, we have something that our kids can actually continue. So now there is no, it could be anything. So that is that open-minded vision. It's not like, I want us to go into, manufacturing, and it's like, this is the vision. This is what I'm thinking. So what do we need to do to be able to achieve that, to be able to create a legacy? So, babe, okay, you're talking about different ideas, but it comes with both of you. It's like, oh, babe, the other goal is to retire somewhere warm and quiet. And so that is a vision. It's not like a specific destination. Like, and then she'd be like, oh, what about Greece? Or you could even have a destination. It's like, oh, Greece is not a bad idea, but I've visited Amsterdam before. Amsterdam has that cool vibe. Let's visit and let's see. So it's that openness to, there's a goal, a vision of, this is what we're looking at, but there's no specific location or dates. Like, it's not like I did, like, oh, in the next 5 years, let's do this. It may be 10 years. But if you're so fixed on that 5 years, if that 5 years doesn't happen, you'll be frustrated and angry with life. But being open-minded that, okay, babe, I would like us to retire early. So let's talk about the year. Like, what do you think, based on your career goal, a journey? When do you think is the right time that we can retire? I'm older than you, so I'll probably retire before you. But what about you? Is that it? It's beautiful when both of you bring that vision, like, to life in detail, right? Like, but there should be a direction, like, that's the way I see it. It's like, but I think at the beginning is the best, basically. Talk about the difficult thing at the beginning, so that then you're not struggling, catching up, or, but I think it's very important, future vision compatibility, because no matter how much chemistry you have, no matter how much emotional compatibility you have, or lifestyle compatibility, if your vision and goals do not align, or if you don't see things, like, if it doesn't align, or, it would be a struggle.
Absolutely. I know one couple, she wanted to move down south, and he's like, I don't want to move down south. All my family is here. And the vision was just incompatible, which ended the relationship. It is incredibly important to have the conversation. I always give the caveat to individuals that if you're going to have the conversation around a vision and a goal, you have to be very gentle about it because this is a very personal thing to them. And if you come at it with any judgment or criticism, like for sure the relationship will fracture, and it won't happen because you'll teach the other person that you're an unsafe person to discuss personal sensitive issues with. Which is
Mm.
why I always recommend individuals first time they meet, go have fun. Do you even like each other? Maybe after the second or third date, just start asking some probing questions, Oh, where do you see yourself? What do you where do you want to go with your life? Are you thinking about retirement? Uh, and then kind of ease into that discussion a little bit more about, okay, if we are getting serious, what is our life going to look like? But also leaving that flexibility. So it's again, if you because we keep bringing it up, but I'm just going to hammer it home. If you are planning to move to Florida and Florida is your jam, you either have to one find somebody that wants to move there, or maybe you should wait until Florida to find somebody.
It's very, yeah, I think it's very important. I have to, like, if you say, oh, I would like to move to this, to the, maybe to Florida, like you said, why Florida? You know what I'm saying? I feel like, why Florida? So, and she says, okay, I had a client where she lives in Boston. That was the only place she knows. Like she has not actually lived any other place outside of Boston. And she's very particular about finding someone that loves Boston because her family is there. She doesn't want to, like, someone that she has to find again that is open-minded enough to be okay with moving to Boston, or someone that, that kind of a thing. So now I thought that, why Boston? Yeah, her family is there and everything. I'm like, could you live somewhere closer to Boston? Because the guy's idea is like he wants to have a private life. He wants to live away from family at some point. Like he doesn't want family intruding into their matters. And so he's open-minded to live close to Boston, but not exactly in Boston. Because he also feels like for for his family to grow his family, Boston may not be the right place. And I was like, sometimes. So eventually she was able to find someone that was not from Boston, but was okay to be in Boston. So for me, it's like those kind of there's no flexibility around that, but at least eventually there's always she was able to find what she was looking for. Um, if someone says I want to live in the countryside versus city, the question is why? Like, why countryside? Is it because of family, or could you move to a different country? Like, if there's a location, like, okay, I want to move to maybe Fort Mac, for example. Of, but yeah, so that kind of thing. So, but the thing is just that open-minded, like you said, being flexible. I don't believe in having a specific, like, don't limit yourself to a specific, like, location or a specific timing, or those things should be open. It's like I don't want to say I want to get married at 40. What if it's 42? What if it's 40? Will you be miserable if it's over 40? So it's like that flexibility, because I always believe in God timing. And yeah, so I like that flexible, being open-minded, but at least you're still going to achieve your goal, but it may not be exactly the way you like it. You're still going to achieve it, but be open-minded to where it can go.
You
That type of.
have to have that flexibility. It is critical. But I also reiterate what you said, which is ask why when you're looking at your vision and goals. I see a lot of people that have these goals, have these visions, but they've never asked themselves why, and they don't understand why they want the things that they want. And it
Yeah,
causes them suffering when they get into a relationship because they're asking for things, but they don't even understand why they want it. But they're getting upset that their partner doesn't understand why they want it.
yeah. Because your partner may not buy into it. Like sometimes we tend to carry on what our parent did. Like my mom did this, and that's why I want to do it. So, but they don't understand the why behind why you really want to do it. So, if you don't understand the why, it's really hard for someone to buy in when you don't even know why. Because they ask you why, you can't even give them a clear answer. So, yeah. So I think the first thing is understanding your why before you even bring someone into your vision, because that without that they can't really buy into it. Yeah. So I think we've really looked at really interesting things. So do you? I know we've talked about the fact that chemistry can grow, like you can have someone, but can compatibility grow?
Compatibility can grow, in my personal opinion, if you are willing to have a flexible mindset. If you are open to another person's perspective and are eager to learn and become curious about them, to understand what's going on with them and understand why things are important for them. Um, However, there are some things that you just can't grow with compatibility. For example, core values. Values are incredibly important to you. Your values, your core values pretty much don't change unless there's a significant life event that happens to you that is going to alter them fundamentally. So when we look at values, not really. They're either there or they're not. And
Hmm.
what I find about the saying, uh, opposites attract, they actually don't, weirdly enough. When I talk to people that you look at them like, wow, you guys are polar opposites. When I get to know them, I'm gonna go, no, your core values are incredibly similar. You
Hmm.
have similar world views. Uh, Even though on the surface you look different, underneath you're quite similar. So it's more like similarities attract. So to
Hmm.
kind of come back to compatibility, absolutely. There's some things, yes, we can grow. Like a worldview, if they're open-minded to see the world in a different way, absolutely. But when it comes to something like core values, not really.
Yeah, yeah, I do agree. I do agree with that. I understand that core values are like it's what guides your life, and those are what kind of protect you or make you, drive you into the direction of your life. But then it's important that you have someone that is also working towards that direction as well. Doesn't have to be exact because yes, they are two different from two different words. But like you said, can grow because as you grow maturely too, as you grow, as you gain experiences, like you said, you go through different kind of maybe difficult life challenges or that alters, your values. But the point is, it can add on, it can grow. But but you there should be some type of there should be an alignment um in that core values. There should be something that you get that aligns up because without that it will be very challenging. So I do agree with the fact that compatibility can grow, but so that's and I think that's interesting, like chemistry, where chemistry may not grow. It may not grow at all because you may not never just be attracted to that person. And it's the thing crazy thing about chemistry is you can't force it. You can't force it. If it's not there, it's not there. That's the way I see it though. What do you think? Do you see like you can?
Yeah, you can't force chemistry. It's kind of like love. A very crude analogy I was always told ages ago is love is like a fart. If you have to force it, it's probably shit. That's kind of what it's like. It's the chemistry
Close.
has to be there. It has to be there on some level of like, do you do you even like get a spark of like, I kind of think this person's kind of sexy, like on even the smallest of levels. Because if you don't even have that, like it's just not going anywhere.
Yeah, I do agree. But yeah, that's why I say I don't think it grows. It does grow dependent, but most of the time you can, like I said, we can force it. Yeah. So do you have any questions? I think we don't have questions.
Oh no, I got questions galore, which is because I've seen it where individuals, they're not really compatible, but they do make long-term relationships work. Or they don't have the chemistry and they still make it work. And it does work. And my question, I guess, is how do they do that?
That is very interesting. I'll say situations where there are arranged marriages, right? Where there's no attraction and there's no compatibility. If the goal could just be, you know what? You find this person in the village. I want to bring you to the city. Are you okay? Come to the city. Do you want to have kids? Yes, I want to have kids. You want a family? Yeah, I want to. Okay, I'm gonna get married to you, and they move. And they might find out that they don't like the same thing. Maybe it's honesty is we call value is one person, and the person is a great liar. So it may not work. But I think now when kids comes in, let's say marriage situation, for example, you start having kids, you start making big family decisions and stuff or life decisions, then you tend to be there for those things. There are a lot of people that are in relationship because of their kids, not because or they like the idea of family, and then that could be something that is you can hold on to over maybe compatibility and chemistry. You get to that point where you just have to accept your situation, accept your partner the way they are. Um, it is always, I think, there are a lot of people that have been that with parents in loveless relationships, but they still stick together to the end. So I think it's just that commitment to each other that keeps that, because I feel like it can work if you are committed to making it work. If you're committed to accepting your partner, that this is why I'm married and that is it. If you're committed to that, maybe so it depends on what holds you down. That was the foundation. And but I feel like it can work if you want it to work, but maybe might not be love. It will be loveless. It's different. I could watch a lot of romantic movies, a lot of romantic books, and we expect some type of feelings or some type of experiences in a relationship. It's not always like that, right?
Mhm. Oh, and well, and it's interesting that you talk about that because there's that feeling of acceptance. You have to accept your partner, but also there has to be glue there. Like there has to be something there kind of keeping you together. It kind of reminds me of one couple. They were an older couple and they were from Eastern Europe. And looking at them, I was like, I don't think they're really compatible. I don't think they have much chemistry. But in talking with them, they said, life was hard and they were challenging. And at the end of the day, I needed somebody in my court. And are we the perfect match? No. However, this is what we got, and we're going to make this work. And I accept my partner for who they are, and she accepts me for who I am, and we just motor through. I don't know if it's. I mean, you could argue it's love. You could argue that they don't love each other, and that's just like a friendship at that point. But I don't know. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think it's just like people saying I went with they would marry someone that typically they would not marry. Like in terms of look or everything, personality, they don't it's not even that kind of women or men. But they see themselves like with this person by my side, I would go far. And I may not be attracted to the person, but we can create children, right? I may not be compatible, but she would help me to be better, or maybe So there's a value that the person brings into that relationship that is enough for you to say, okay, I can let go of all the other things and hold on to this thing. But most of the times, I see people with kids like, okay, kids, and some people it's just like it's better to have somebody than nobody. um and they can basically share responsibilities and stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that goes into creating a long-term relationship or marriage than chemistry, or those are like, I remember, I don't think my parent knew anything about compatibility or chemistry, like at least compatibility when they got married, right? It's just now there's now a term to it, and there's things that people are looking out for, because people are also searching for happiness and love in relationship. There, in those World War, whatever, those old days, what was love? Like, a man knows he has to provide, and he goes to fight war and come back home. There's food, and it's more about responsibility than expression of love. But right now, the expectation from a man and versus a woman, like, and a woman is different. Like, you expect your man to show love by washing dishes or taking out the garbage. It was different back then, right? So, and the way a woman to wants to express love or receive love is different now. But it's just the new. It's just kind of some things are pretty new when it comes to relationship. But I think there are more to making, really commitment is one of the key thing. You can have chemistry and compatibility, but if there's no commitment, like if you're not committed to making it work, because chemistry can die and compatibility can change. Like you said, life situation can actually alter. There are people that were in maybe in war Africa where there was war and they kind of their world kind of shattered, right? And they have to start again. And so, but what holds you together is more than chemistry sometimes and compatibility, I would say, but they are very
Well,
important regardless.
but that's important to know is you have to choose your partner.
Yeah.
Every single day, you have to choose them. You say, I am committed to this person, I am loyal to this person, and I will choose them. And it reminds me of a conversation I had with somebody around their partner, and they were worried that their partner was going to cheat on them.
Mm,
And I said, well, you're just going to have to trust them.
mm,
And they were shocked. Like, well, what do you mean? Like, how can I stop that from happening? It's like, well, here's the thing, your partner is going to be tempted. I'm sorry to tell you this. In that moment, however, your partner is going to have to choose you
mm,
over themselves or this other person. And you are going to be tempted yourself. I can promise you that. You're going to have to choose your partner. It's just that constant commitment of, I am choosing my partner. It doesn't matter if you have chemistry, it doesn't matter if you have compatibility. If you're not choosing your partner, like it's not going to work.
yeah, it's not gonna work. And I think it's interesting the way you talked about the person that is scared to of the partner cheating. Sometimes, like you say you just have to trust your partner. One, trusting your partner gives you peace. If you continue to worry about that, like, is that just trusting? Trusting is like, okay, he says it's here, it's there, period. Leave it. Just leave it. Trust that and leave it. Because in a way, you can control everything. You cannot know everything. But sometimes you have to choose what gives you peace. You have to choose to think in a way that brings you peace. And that's why it's very important the way we think, right? Because that shapes your mood, that shapes your the way you live. And yeah, so that's something I would add to that. It's like choose what gives you peace.
Exactly. You have to create a mindset that creates peace. One of the best things I've ever heard is all anxiety is conspiracy theories about yourself.
Mm,
And if you have an anxious mindset that is causing a lot of turbulence, especially when it comes to a relationship, it might be time to take a step back and just reevaluate, okay, how do I change my thinking to create peace?
mm. Yeah, that's it. The thing, and it's very hard. It's not easy, but it's a practice, and that you have to, as you do it more often, you start building that muscles to, keep going that direction. Yeah. If there's any if there's any advice that you want to give someone that is looking into getting into a long-term relationship, what will you tell them to focus on when it comes to maybe chemistry or when it comes to compatibility?
So I always recommend take it slow.
Mm,
Feel them out. Don't rush into anything. When it comes to chemistry on the first date, people are nervous. People are scared. You're not going to figure out if you have chemistry unless the sparks are really flying, in which case then you should start figuring out pretty quick, do you have compatibility?
yeah.
However, take it slow and ask yourself the question, do I even like them? Do I like them? If the answer is no, then just move on. However, if you have it on some level, you're like, yeah, I kind of like this person, go on a second date, maybe go on a third date, and see if the chemistry is there on some degree and see if you're compatible. And if you are, grow it. Water the grass that you're standing on. What advice would you give to our listeners?
I think you give a really good advice, I would say. Like you said, I think going slowly is important. I know we had talked about earlier on where we talked about, there are situations where a guy could meet a girl maybe on dating app and he wants to rush things out because he's trying to secure that girl. I think that's always a losing battle in the long run because someone that is meant to be yours would be yours. So it's always very important to take your time regardless. And if the person is your person, they would wait and they would move along. So take the time, and I believe ask the right questions earlier on, so that you don't end up wasting a lot of time. Ask the important question, that because, and it depends on your goals. Some, there are different reasons why different people go into relationship. But if you're long term focus, ask those important questions earlier on. And if it does not, if it's compatibility type of question to see if you're compatible, if it's not there, move. Because the thing is, if your goal is long term chemistry enough, it's not enough to make it last. So you can have chemistry, but you know that the compatibility, the core things that is important to you, they don't does not align. I would advise you to move on, to move on, and find someone else. You rather have the compatibility, and there's a possibility that you might grow in terms of chemistry, but compatibility is more important to me, um, than chemistry. But it's very important that you have some type of chemistry with this person, to just have that balance, because that makes the love beautiful, right? So,
You know, I couldn't have said it better myself. When it comes to it, compatibility is critical. And that's why when I work with clients, I always sit down and we talk about their core values first. Because if you don't know what your core values are and you're going to go see someone else, what are you looking for? How do you even know that you're compatible? And even getting into that vision that we talked about of where do you want to take your life? What are you trying to build together? And having that flexibility, always creating that flexibility, because it's about compromising with relationships. It's not about authoritarian, it's my way or the highway. We are partners.
yeah, I do agree. I like that partner thing. Your partners, and you have to work together. And if you want to make it work, it would work. But it's important that we do ask those important questions earlier on, because that helps. And it's very important, like you said, we talked about choosing your partner. I would say, it's very important that you guys have that same mindset as well. That okay, whatever happens, we're going to continue to choose each other. But that gives some kind of peace in that relationship. So maybe choose someone that has that same mindset as well. That okay, I'm gonna always choose you, and that helps actually. So yeah, it's it's been an interesting conversation. We've talked about compatibility, do I say it, and chemistry, and we can't wait to hear from you. Adam, I don't know if you have any last word that we want to just leave for our audience.
I think the last words I have is just take it slow and have fun out there. The first question you should always be asking is, do I even like them?
Mm. Yeah, that's the perfect way to just close this episode for today. So we can't wait to see your comment. Feel free to like, comment, send this video to someone that you think need to hear this. And continue and subscribe. And if you need, Adam is a coach as well. You would see his detail on the description. So if you need to reach out. And also if you're looking for love, you'd see my detail as well in the description. Reach out, and we can't wait to support you. Okay. So Adam, what do you want to say? We'll say bye.
Awesome. We're here to help you succeed. And again, if you're feeling stuck, please reach out. Otherwise,
Just
we'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.
thank you. Bye for now.